Welcome to the Book Faire Podcast. My name is Anthony, and it is officially summer vacation. This week, Utah has banned its 35th book from all public schools statewide. A new report looking at the effects of censorship on school libraries, and a book ban in Tennessee has been reversed. This summer will likely have shorter episodes, but I will do my best to post consistently during some personally stressful times. Just know that your support through listening is always appreciated. Now let's begin by looking at this week's new releases, starting with Current Gone, Stars Shine Brighter in a Blackout by Nisa Bali and illustrated by Geeta Ladi. Boredom, mosquitoes, and an opportunity for togetherness arrive with a power outage in Bali and Ladi's busy communal snapshot. Thrust into darkness when the electricity goes out, the intergenerational, light brown-skinned residents of a house in a tropical setting attempt to adapt. Quote, knees bump, toes stub, hands grasp blindly, searching, seeking, end quote. The arrival of friends, game and guitar in hand, adds a sense of merrymaking as the companions make shadow animals in candlelight and cool off by eating frozen treasures scooped from the freezer. Outside, moonbeams bathe sticky skin, and the group appreciate an undulated view of the stars until the electricity returns. Staccato prose pinpoints the resultant ambivalence. Emotions mixed, feelings tangled, darkness is gone. Appropriately playing with light and shadow, chalky digital drawings center on cozy domestic scenes, and a horizontal spread of the night sky offers a dazzling climax that's pitch perfect for this bright-eyed and appreciative tale about embracing the dark. An author's note concludes, and this book is recommended for ages 4 to 8. Next is The Cat Prophecies #1, Claw Quest by Nick Corpon and George Enrique Paz. A rapid-paced, chosen one narrative propels Corpon and Paz's rollicking double debut, a series launch. In California, Columbia's Barrio San Antonio, 13-year-old artist and superhero fanatic Tito Rodriguez endures frequent torment from bullies who mock the facial expressions and bodily movements brought about by his Tourette's. Tito's diagnosis, which allows him to notice patterns everywhere, helps him realize that an orange cat has been following him. As Tito copes with the devastating news that his papa, who immigrated to the U.S. for work, now has a new family and won't be returning to Colombia. The cat, named Kukito, takes the teen to a realm of talking warrior felines. There, Tito learns that he may be the chosen one, destined to save the human and cat realms from an imminent invasion of destructive spirits called Yuanch. Tension mounts when Tito's mama is bespelled by dark Yuanch magic. Alongside two other potential chosen ones, Tito must channel his beloved superheroes to eliminate the threat. Imagery-rich language depicts a vibrant backdrop against which vivacious and compassionate Tito utilizes his neurological condition in the fight to save the people and place he loves. This book is recommended for ages 8 to 12. Next is Blue Beach by Karen Parsons. Actor Parsons makes her YA debut with an evocative, socially conscious murder mystery set against the racially charged backdrop of 1929 Santa Monica. 15-year-old Blue, whose family owns Blue Beach, the only stretch of sand open to Black residents in Southern California, finds her summer upended when she and her friend Ben discover the body of white teen Dottie on the shore. Fearing violent retaliation from white neighbors, the pair move the body, When evidence reveals that Dottie had asked Ben to meet her at the beach prior to her death, Ben goes into hiding as suspicions and threats run rampant. Guilt by association jeopardizes Blue, her family, and her livelihood, which is further imperiled by a white land developer's plot to take ownership of the beach. Determined to clear Ben's name and protect her community, Blue follows her sole clue, a ruby earring found in Dottie's mouth, into a web of secrets. Despite predictable plotting and an overly tidy resolution, anticipatory language and Blue's steadfast pursuit of truth lend the narrative momentum and heart, culminating in an appealing, worthwhile offering. This book is recommended for ages 12 and up. The final title to look at this week is You, Me, and Infinity by Deb Coletti. Love and heartbreak prove transformative experiences for an introverted Seattle teen who struggles to connect with others in this emotionally potent novel about healing. When anxious high school junior Margaret Vittorio meets Mars Zevin Rivers, the teens unexpectedly bond over astronomy, music, and the Golden Record, a time capsule launched on the 1977 Voyager probe. But as their love grows, so too does Margaret's anxiety, prompting her to keep their relationship a secret out of fear that her sexist father's volatile temper and her mother's eating disorder will push Mars away. At the same time, she reflects on their deepening romance and inventories her boyfriend's possible red flags, until tragedy strikes, compelling Margaret to take to heart Mars's life motto about trusting in the restorative power of connection. Swoony romance segues into poignant reflections on grief via Margaret's fervent first-person narration. Chapters open with catalogs of objects stored in the Golden Record, eventually shifting to lists of items meaningful to Mars and Margaret's relationship. This intimate book by Coletti contains multitudes. Come for the movingly voiced, starry-eyed joy, but keep tissues on standby for the gut-wrenching moments in between. The protagonists cue as white, and this book is recommended for ages 14 and up. That covers the new releases for this week. Next, we'll be taking a look at some news. But first, if you appreciate the work being done on the Book Faire podcast, there are a number of ways to show your support. First, you can like, comment, or follow wherever you are currently listening to help push the show out to new listeners. Second, you can follow the podcast on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok at Book Faire Pod. You can also go to patreon.com/thebookfair to find episodes posted early, as well as links to news sources used throughout the show. Following on Patreon is free, and there are no posts hidden behind a paywall. Of course, the best way to help the Book Faire podcast is simply to share it with a friend, an educator, or a young reader in your life. Now, on with the show. Next, let's look at the news. Starting in Utah, where the state is conducting statewide book bans. In 2024, Utah passed HB 29, one of the strictest bills relating to books in public schools. The law allows parents to challenge books they deem sensitive material and outright bans books from all public schools in the state if those books are deemed objective sensitive material or pornographic per state code in at least 3 public school districts or 2 public districts and 5 charter schools statewide. When the bill first went into effect on July 1st, 2024, 13 titles were included on the list. In the first 6 months of 2026, there have already been 16 titles added to the statewide book ban list. This makes 2026 the busiest year for book banning since HB 29 passed in 2024, with the first half of next school year yet to come before this year is over. Formal challenges against books in schools are typically handled locally. However, HB 29 takes local challenges and applies them on the state level, taking away the local control regardless of grade level. There is currently a lawsuit against HB 29, which had its first hearing in May, but there is yet to be an injunction against the law at this time. Next, a report from the American Library Association takes a look at the impacts of book censorship on libraries. The recently published article, Books and Barriers: The Influence of Book Censorship on the Role of School Librarians, Their Self-Efficacy and Well-Being, has recently been posted by the American Library Association. The report examines school libraries in a Texas school district and how the staff and library are impacted by book bans. Data was collected via interviews, and the research found that book censorship has a detrimental effect on librarians, both in their day-to-day work and in the plans for their future career and job satisfaction. While the sample size is limited, the organization School Library Research recommends future research in other areas on the mental health and stress of school librarians with factors besides censorship and collection development. The American Library Association has links to their research available at ala.org/AASL/SLR. At the time of recording, however, the link to their report is not live, but hopefully this is corrected soon. Our final story for this week: Tennessee bans a title under state law, then reverses the decision. Last month, a Tennessee school district banned Roots: The Saga of an American Family by Alex Haley. The 1976 novel tells the story of 6 generations of descendants of Kunta Kinte, a slave in early American history, leading to the author, one of the descendants of Kinte. Tennessee's Age-Appropriate Materials Act first passed in 2022 and has now led to Knox County Schools removing Roots from class curriculum and library collections. The irony of this removal is almost too comical to be satire, with author Alex Haley having lived in Knoxville, Tennessee, the county seat of Knox County, and a statue of the author stands in Morningside Park. Chauncey DeVega, senior writer for Salon.com, who reports on this story, compares this to doublespeak and censorship from 1984, even calling the entire situation whitewashing, erasing part of American history. After pressure from school board members and the local community, Roots was restored to school libraries in Knox County. A memo from Superintendent John Resweck explained that legal experts he consulted could not come to a consensus on whether the Tennessee law required the removal of Roots in the first place. Ultimately, this uncertainty was a deciding factor for reversing the ban. The author of this article warns not to celebrate this decision. Quote, "Returning Roots to school library shelves does not erase the harm that was done to free speech and democracy by such an exercise in authoritarian power." End quote. While I agree that yes, the damage is done, and returning books to shelves doesn't fix that damage, but it is important to reflect on when pushback from communities results in action. This will conclude another episode of the Book Faire Podcast. Coming this Friday, we will have an interview with author J.S. Puller. author of The Lost Things Club. If you'd like to stay up to date with the show, you can follow wherever you are currently listening or on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Book Faire Pod. If you'd like to help the Book Faire Podcast grow, you can also go to patreon.com/thebookfair. Following on Patreon is free, and there are no posts hidden behind a paywall. You can find links to news sources as well as episodes posted early. Simply add the Patreon RSS feed to your preferred podcast platform. Of course, the best way to help the Book Faire Podcast is simply to share it with a friend, an educator, or a young reader in your life. Thank you so very much for listening, and as always, I'll talk at you next time.